The film begins at the Edwardson Institute, Norway. A group of scientists is conducting some kind of research. We see Dr. Jorgen and his colleague Anderson excitedly discussing a successful experiment. The two embrace. It's been 5 years. Andreas presents his research to an audience packed with people in a conference room in Italy. He brought a box with him, which he carefully places on the podium. He then gives a speech about the negative effects of global warming, which causes shortages of food and water. He further explains that their project is aimed not only at reducing global warming, but also at solving the problem of lack of natural resources. He says that this is the only practical and humane remedy for humanity's most serious problem. Then it shows what is inside the box. People sigh in surprise when they see the tiny drive. Jorgen in the box. He looks like an ordinary normal person, but is smaller in size. No one can believe their eyes. People stand up to get a better look at Dr. Jorgen. Dr. Jorgen asks everyone to sit down. There is a tiny microphone in front of him, and he starts talking. He says that 5 years ago, he and his team developed a procedure that reduces all organic material at the cellular level by a ratio of 2,744:1. That is, a person with a height of 1 meter 80 centimeters can be reduced to 13 centimeters. Using this process, Dr. Jorgen turned into a midget. The procedure has been tested on a large number of plants and animals, and they found out that the procedure is irreversible, but has no side effects. 36 volunteers joined Dr. Jorgen's team, and they've been living like little people ever since. The procedure only requires the removal of dentures and other dentures. A person comes to his senses completely in an hour or two after he has become small. Then they bring 36 project volunteers to the stage, who are now small. They have been living in the world's first small colony for the last 4 years. They also had a small child. The audience applauds admiringly. This is the biggest discovery in history. Now the concept of size reduction is introduced. People all over the world are shocked to see a TV show broadcasting an eye-catching advertisement about this discovery. She urges everyone to shrink down in order to save the planet and improve life. Paul Safranek, one of the spectators. He watches this advertisement with trepidation. Then he goes home to his sick mother. She's the only person in Paul's life. She complains about the reduction program, saying that the same energy should be directed to finding a cure for her illness. Now, 10 years later, Paul's mother is long dead. Paul is currently working as an occupational therapist and is married to his wife Audra Safranek. The couple is experiencing financial difficulties and is forced to move to a new house because of this. Meanwhile, the reduction program has become increasingly popular over the years. Several tiny colonies have been established all over the world. 3% of the world's population has experienced a decrease and currently lives in these colonies. One day, the Safraniki go to meet their classmates at the old school. There they meet their old friends, Dave and Carol Johnson, who have shrunk. After the meeting, they gather at a friend's house, where the Johnsons brag that this is the best decision they have ever made in their lives. They now live in a tiny colony in New Mexico called Cafoville. People shrink to save themselves. When Paul praises Dave for how much he has done for the environment, Dave admits that he only did it for the money. The fact is that after a reduction, expenses fall by 90%. Dave was broke in Vegas before they decided to participate in the program. Now he and his wife are going on a 6-month trip to Italy and will live out their lives in a huge mansion. Becoming interested in miniature life, the next day Paul and Audrey go to a convention in Cafoville. There, the shrunken man tells them about the benefits of shrinking. He shows them the house of his dreams right in front of him. The miniature house opens, revealing a luxurious interior. In the house, a woman takes a bath and shows off her diamond jewelry, which cost her only $83. Paul and Audrey are fascinated by the luxurious life of little people. Then they go to the observation deck, where they inspect the high villas. The colony is covered with nets to keep out mosquitoes and harmful ultraviolet rays. The couple watches in awe and decides that they too will shrink in size. They meet with an agent who tells them that if they get high, $152,000 will turn into $12 million. If you get high, your $152,000 will turn into $12 million to live on. Paul and Audrey are stunned. Later, we see them selling their stuff at a yard sale in order to sell everything off and shrink down. Later that day, they meet at a pub where their friends and family say goodbye to them. That night, they put their wedding rings in a box to bring them to their miniature house when they shrink down and move in. The next day, they go to the convention in Caifoville, where they will be reduced. However, we can see that Audrey is doubtful about her decision. They are separated in the waiting room. The floor is carried out for the procedure first. The couple is informed that they will meet after the procedure when they have already been reduced. First, employees shave Paul's head and eyebrows, as their size cannot be reduced. He is then dressed in hospital clothes and sedated to remove all the hair on his body. They do the same thing with several other men next to Paul. Since it is impossible to reduce dentures and implants, everyone undergoes dental surgery and dentures are removed. After that, they are left naked in the incubation room. The doors to the hall are closing. After a while, they open, and we see that everyone inside has been reduced. Now they are carefully lifted with a spatula and placed on a miniature stretcher. Then they are handed over to the little nurses from Caifoville. Their dentures are returned to the oral cavity. Finally, the procedure is completed, and the newly reduced people go to rest. When Paul wakes up, he sees that he is alone in the waiting room. The nurse greets him. She also gives him a huge cracker as a gift. He asks where Audrey is, so the nurse goes to look for her. After a while, she arrives with her phone. Audrey is speaking on the other end. She frantically and confusedly tells Paul that they shaved her head and eyebrows. Then we see Audrey herself, bald and with one eyebrow at the airport. Paul is shocked to learn that Audrey ran away when they started shaving off her eyebrows. She decided not to shrink at the very last moment. Two people are shouting at each other on the phone. "Stop! Are you going to leave me?" As a result, Paul is now alone in a new city of reduced people. He is escorted to his luxurious mansion, but now he has to live there alone. A year has passed. Paul divorced Audrey and moved into a new apartment. He expected an easy life, but as a result of the divorce, half of his assets were taken away from him. He currently works at a call center and is dating a girl named Kristen. One night, she and Paul are having dinner in his room, and when Paul's upstairs neighbor is Stuffy, he comes in and informs them that he is hosting a party. Later, Kristen and Paul break up, which prompts him to go to Dustin's party after all. Here he feels like it's the best time of his life. He kisses a random girl and she gives him a pill. The drug begins to overwhelm Paul and he enjoys the whole night. The next morning, he wakes up under a table in Dustin's apartment. The cleaners are coming. One of the workers is limping, and this catches Paul's eye, as he is an occupational therapist. He asks her to sit down and helps her with her prosthetic leg. Paul recognizes the cleaner as Ngoc Lan Tran, a Vietnamese political activist who has been imprisoned and reduced against her will. Ngoc Lan's story was broadcast all over the world at the time, but it eventually died down. Ngoc Lan takes Paul to his neighborhood to see the people here, even though he is a physiotherapist, not a doctor. Paul sees that the place where she lives is in extreme poverty, even though they are tiny. There, Paul helps Ngoc Lan with a prosthetic leg, but accidentally breaks it. As a result of his failure, Ngoc Lan forces him to clean up while she waits for a new prosthetic leg to arrive. Paul goes to work with Ngoc Lan every day and does the cleaning for her. They collect leftovers from the people they work for and bring them to Ngoc Lan community to distribute them among the poor. Paul sees the good in Ngoc Lan. Although she suffers herself, she does not forget to help other people in her community. One day, Ngoc Lan gets a job as a cleaner in Dustin's house. Dustin is surprised to see that Paul works as a cleaner and makes fun of him. Paul informs him that he has to do Ngoc Lan's work for 6 weeks to a month because he broke her prosthetic leg. Seeing how his friend is suffering, Dustin decides to help him. He offers Paul the opportunity to leave by joining him and his friend Joris Conrad on a trip to Norway, where the first small community of miniaturized was created. However, Ngoc Lan insists that she wants to leave too because she was called by the doctor who started it all. Dr. Jorgen. The doctor also lives in that colony and would like to meet Ngoc Lan because of her heroic protests in Vietnam. The guys don't really believe in this story, but in the end they take it with them and go to Norway. A few days later, they all sail along the fjord on Dustin's yacht. They suddenly encounter Dr. Jorgen and his wife on their own yacht, also heading to the colony. Ngoc Lan finally meets Dr. Jorgen, who apologizes to her for being subjected to his reduction procedure by force. Also, the group is informed about an increase in methane emissions in Antarctica. which will increase global warming by a huge percentage that cannot be stopped, and due to the mass overpopulation of humanity will eventually die out in 100 years. Reduction was invented to reduce the likelihood of such an outcome to some extent, but only 3% of the world's people have shrunk in size. Dr. Jorgen is devastated that he developed his creation too late to save the world. The damage is irreversible. Later, Ngok Lan and Paul are together in her cabin. Paul checks her legs. One thing leads to the other, and they end up having sex. The next morning, they finally reach the first colony. It's a tiny village where people live in harmony. They are sincerely welcomed. There, the inhabitants created a large vault inside the mountain to isolate the colony and preserve humanity in the event of its disappearance. The whole village, along with Dr. Jorgen and his wife, plan to enter the vault the next day. Inspired by Dr. Jorgen's words, Paul also wants to go with the colony. He feels like he got here for a reason. So when Ngok asks if he's going back with her, he refuses. Dusan and Joris also decide to return to their house. It's the next day. A few hours before everyone goes to the vault, Ngok asks Paul if he had sex with her because he felt sorry for her. Paul replies that it wasn't out of pity, and she really means a lot to him, but the shelter gives his life a purpose. The time has finally come. Paul says goodbye and goes to the vault, while the other three sit outside. However, halfway through, he suddenly changes his mind. He realizes that he loves Ngok too much to go to the vault. He comes back and hugs her. Soon, the vault door closes forever. All four of them return to Kefaville. There, Ngok and Paul live a quiet life together, helping the residents of the Ngok community living in the slums.